I was just telling you, Ciarán, that I've been hearing my name a lot lately because everyone's talking about the Snyder Cut, and I wanted to pose this question to you, which is, well, more background. I was thinking about how there's no like super famous people with the last name Snyder. It's all just like random side characters in the the tapestry that is American life, American culture. You have, of course, Zack Snyder, the director of Justice League, the only true auteur in superhero movies according to his devoted fans. He made 300, Watchmen, etc. There's Gwen Snyder, that Antifa lady who made it her like sole mission to get Brace fired from TrueAnon. And I was literally going through the list. There's Quinn Snyder, who is an NBA coach who, when he was a college basketball coach, was famous for doing tons of coke and having sex with the players' girlfriends. Rick Snyder, governor of Michigan. I just think it would be a very interesting tapestry of American life. Like, no one would dominate, Like, I mean, the nationwide Trump convention, like, of course, Donald Trump's going to be running things. So I just wanted to announce that I want to assemble, much like my own Justice League. I think it would be a unique, like, what name would be the best, the most interesting slice of American life? And how are we going to reunite you with all the Dolds in Germany? That's my other question.
So all the Dolds in Germany, I feel like, is a lost cause. Because there's like 200 of them, and I'm assuming they all live in a tree. But like,
yeah, well, they're all in the same place. They'd be easy to find.
Yeah, they're Keebler elves. Like they're a simple folk.
When you go to visit them, it's like when Gandalf goes to the Shire. It's just like, Ciarán, you're here.
What did you bring? I brought you contraband. I brought you
bringing them butter.
Yeah, but I have, like, because Dold is such a rare name, it does occur regularly that there is like a Facebook group with all the Dolds in them, and I will just get invited to it. And it's it's just one guy who just like goes around finding everyone with the last name Dold and inviting them to this group.
Have you ever had it on Facebook with your exact name? Because I've had that. I mean, maybe I have a more common first name, last name combo. But that's a classic Facebook, like everyone with the same name. And then you're like, hey, everyone. How's it going?
There was that tweet a while ago with, like, someone had like a relatively normal name. It was a woman. She was like Kate something. Kate Smith. I'm just going to make up Kate Smith. But like when she got invited into like a Twitter DM with everyone else who was also called Kate Smith, and it turned out to be like one of the most supportive groups she's ever been in.
Sure.
Yeah.
I want that for you and the Dolds. They could teach you German.
Yeah. They teach me like Alman German, like Husli and stuff. I can't get over Husli.
What's Husli?
It's house.
Ah, I guess so.
Yeah, no, it's Alman German. It's like insane. It's the dialect of German closest to Swiss German.
When you're calling it Alman German, I thought you just meant how Almans,
No, I mean specifically Almanish. Like,
yeah,
very, I'm doing German subgroup race science over here.
Yeah, I'm Almanish, and it's just 4 photos of, potatoes.
Hey. This is your weekly corner Späti. It's just the Polish coalition of Rob and myself, Ciarán.
Hey, quick audible today. But you never know what you're going to get. Something a little exciting, maybe.
Yeah, we're here to talk about some vibes around the world and specifically Europe. I believe Rob is we're going to talk about shipping because Rob is bringing his like patented Hamburg energy.
Well, we're doing our 2 favorite things on this episode. Returning to our roots. 1, strange stories of Euro vibes, and 2, correcting the record and being complete pedants about something very specific. In this case, shipping.
I mean, the only thing more classic corner Späti is yelling at a graph. I want to go back to those episodes where we yelled at a graph.
I guess we're going to start with the shipping, right?
Yeah.
If you haven't heard, there is a tanker ship, or container ship, I should say, blocking the Suez Canal, which has been leading everyone to say, what is shipping? Everyone's looking into it. They're pulling up websites with the maps. all that fun stuff. So we are here to correct the record, tell you which tweets are and aren't accurate, and get into shipping a bit because, Ciarán, you said on the last Patreon episode that you might have heard it because I think it was our Twitter clip about how hungry is the future. No, maybe it's a different clip.
No, it was that. Yeah. Oh, no, we didn't.
Okay,
we didn't put it as the Twitter clip. Sorry, but yeah, that's my theory. Yeah. If you want to figure out how that theory works, you have two options: pay $5 a month at patreon.com/Späti, or get me tipsy, and then corner me at a bar, and I'll explain to you.
Ask anywhere from politely to just not actively hostile, and Ciarán will just tell you what he's thinking.
Yeah, I'm actually a very nice person.
That is true with shipping for the global economy. Like everything about shipping, in that it's like it touches like almost all products and oil and materials around you. You don't know how it works. It's just out there, and yeah, that's basically where we're headed with whether it's Amazon, gig economy stuff, and that of course is everything from like Uber to just Deliveroo bikers. It's the perfect balance of like backbone of like the global supply chain and out of sight, out of mind. No one has to think about it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like I had like two things, which was like whenever I see the picture of Evergreen in the Suez Canal, I'm just like, it might be actually really chill to just be on a boat going up and down the Suez Canal. It seems like a nice vibe. I want to do that. I want to look at like, I don't know, the probably the greenest part of Egypt because it's along the Nile or whatever. And also
it does look. There's something calming about a canal that it's somewhat narrow. It's like playing bowling with the sides up.
Yeah,
You're
yeah, exactly. Rivers, nah, fuck off. Rivers too dangerous, scary. Don't like it. They flood.
They have torrents.
They bend. Nah, not having any of that. Canals, chill. Easy going. Man-made, know where it came from.
Yes, elevators of the sea is what they're usually called. And right now there's someone stuck in an elevator.
Please don't share this. I'm a ship expert. They only do this when they're distressed. But the other thing about like shipping industry being like very powerful or all consuming, as Rob kind of pointed out, that it's like everything. It's also perfectly out of sight, out of mind. Is also just like the shitty like eco austerity greens conversation about airline travel. So like a lot of Greens will talk about like, oh, we don't need to do airline travel anymore, blah, blah, blah. Or like aviation is this massive polluter, blah, blah, blah. Which is like, first of all, fuck you. Which is hard to do because also like, I agree trains are cool. Build more trains. But like sometimes planes are necessary. But like commercial aviation is like 0.1% of global emissions. Like most aviation global emissions is like, it's 2.4%. And most of that is like the military. But like shipping is a massive fucking polluter and no one fucking talks about it. Or
it's
like
absurd.
It's I guess what I'm point I'm making is a very powerful industry because none of the like fucking spineless supposedly green politicians ever dared to like bring it up.
Yeah, because it's so out of like, that's what's so perfect about it as like the ideal industry under capitalism, in that you have the number here, 18% of
all global emissions.
Yeah. And that's twofold. That's one, of course, there's like tons of ships, like they're going everywhere. They're huge. They take a lot of fuel, but the fuel that they use is like the worst, dirtiest kind of oil. Like it's like
fuel,
one step removed from crude oil versus like the heavily processed stuff that gets turned into gasoline.
And it's also like
it's like when I cook for myself. It's like this is basically just still raw food. I just
anyone out there who's
stirred it for 10 seconds.
Anyone out there who's in a committed relationship and knows that feeling of when you're like, your partner says, hey, I'm going away for the weekend, and you just go in your head, I'm going to cook and make something fucking stupid. It's like, I'm just going to get like minced meat in a giant bowl of rice. Let's fucking go. It's kind of that. That's the kind of fuel equivalent. This is also like ignoring a huge problem with the sea, which is like sound pollution. as well. They're a huge part of that, which is just like fucking with everything that lives in the sea.
I mean, like, who cares?
Yeah, right.
The
How does
ships
that
are just
mind?
like literally these ships. I mean, the other thing that everyone points out are they're massive. These ships,
Oh, yeah.
and I mean they're getting bigger and bigger. Like there's graphs about how they're like exponentially more carrying capacities over the past 50, 60 years or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll just run everything over. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Killing Shamu.
On the fuel thing quickly, there was a big to do from the like International Maritime Organization about reducing the like sulfur emissions in the bunker fuel, it's called, that the ships use. And I think even that might not even get at the like sulfur might not be the key cause of global warming. It just causes other kinds of like, you know, pollution, like it's bad for agriculture and breathing and all that stuff. So even that's confused. Yeah. But the other thing is that like, how the fuck are you going to regulate it? Like, because ships are like, all right, well, tons of countries are just like, we're not going to check. Who cares? B, like, I mean, they've like taken steps to like get around this, but the other thing you can do, this is what's been going on in Europe for a long time, because the EU has very strict, I don't know if it's the EU or some other Schengen organization, but like within like coastal, so we're talking like Baltic Sea, North Sea, like close to land, you have to use like the most refined version of bunker fuel. Because like I said, it's bad for breathing and crops and whatever. But then what they do is for like, you know, 98% of the trip across the ocean, they're using the dirty stuff. And then literally for the last, like couple hours, they're like, oh, okay, we'll use the nice stuff.
Putting on your tie to work like right when you get in the door to the office.
And so it produces a lot of like good headlines, like, you know, they're planning to tackle and it's going to reduce, you know, emissions by 65%, but like, how are you going to do it? And
good
I feel like shipping and like how opaque it is on purpose is like a great example of like, how exactly are you going to carry out all these good ideas? And a big reason shipping can't carry out anything is because baked into the business plan is how little power workers have over any kind of point in the supply chain. Everyone's joking like, yeah, like this ship took down, it's freezing up the global economy and it's destroying like $400 million of value a day or whatever. But individual workers have very little, like just imagine you are a worker alone on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Your ship is registered to one country, which is a complete fake flag of convenience, usually Panama or something. And then actually you're getting the contract from another country. You're from, let's say, the Philippines, which I think something like 16% of all ship workers are. And you're traveling from, I don't know, Saudi Arabia to China. It's like, how exactly are we supposed to build some situation? I'm jumping around. But there's one quote from this. I'll link it in the description. A very good Baffler article reviewing I guess like a left-wing history of the rise of, you know, the shipping and tanker world. They gave one example of a 1981 case in which Filipino crew members aboard a Saudi ship docked in Rotterdam and they went on strike for, you know, better rations. The Dutch courts ruled that a Philippine law prohibited them from legally striking. So like they're like, sorry, can't ask us. It's like, what are you supposed to do in this situation? Like it's so intertwined. I mean, I guess that's why they're a good representation of globalization, right? Like shipping is like, oh, it's amazing. I can get like it's cheaper for there was a meme a long time ago about like pineapples from what were they from Argentina and packed in China or something, or packed in Thailand. I want to say, yeah, it's like, wow, it's amazing how cheap it is. Like you can look at your product and think, wow, this is from all the way across the world. The reason you can like interconnect all these things is because of the absolute control that most companies have over every point of the supply chain. Yes, it's all like so many industries. There was some news about how car industries are going to be affected because they like don't keep up a storage of parts. They wait for them to arrive. But like you can't strike in like a planned action, like an active solid inspired by solidarity or in a strategic way. It's just like it's scary. Like it's out of anyone's control, basically.
Well, they had like speaking of the people who are like absolutely obsessed with this. Do you not remember when we did the R neoliberal website or subreddit?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they had like their cargo ship meme quote unquote. I did air quotes. No one can see that. It's a recording. But yeah, the meme of just like a picture of a cargo ship and just like, I love them. It's like, cool. It's so fucking cool, man.
Yeah. It's like, I actually love the Joker. I'm going to kill Barney. It's that same energy. Like, oh, wow, you're this evil thing. You're actually for it. Cool, dude. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to say. Of course, the military factors into this a lot because, again, referring back to this Baffler piece, like, who runs, like, the whole thing about the ocean is that, like, you're all alone. I mean, there's a reason pirates or whatever have a mystique. And the example with the Rotterdam court, they're like, well, you were operating under different laws, or basically they can choose what laws apply. What fills this power vacuum is usually the military. So like the U.S. military will step in. There were calls already, I think, from, I don't know, some groups being like, the U.S. Navy needs to be prepared to stand in to, like, resolve this crisis. Because what is the U.S. Navy, and even back in the 80s, the Baffler piece talks about how the Soviet Union did it for their supply chains. At the end of the day, when supply chains and the global economy is outside of the control of any one state, basically it's like military force that will come in and like resolve a crisis situation that like make sure the whole system's well lubricated to keep, pumping out whatever it's designed to pump out. That's all it can really do. And that's the only lever, right, that even one single entity has over, steering this ship. I guess the ship is a pretty good metaphor then for how capitalism works.
There's some stuff in like your notes that you kind of wrote down because I'm here like you listener just tapping into Rob's shipping brain. Again, this is just stuff that you pick up if you like live in like Hamburg or like Rotterdam. This information just enters into you via osmosis.
People stop you on the street and pop quiz you. It's really adorable and annoying.
It's a lot of like Hamburg NPC characters just like, did you know?
To complete your quests, like for example getting groceries at Edeka, you have to answer some riddles from townspeople.
Yeah, god damn it. Some of the questions I have to ask you though is just like this gig economy thing that you mentioned. Is there like a gig economy for shipping shit now?
Well, I mean, it's gig economy in the sense that a lot of them are like long-term contracts. Like, yeah, like these, I'll like be assigned to some ship for 6 months. And then when the contract's up, it's like, all right, peace. Like that kind of stuff. Like you're not in any, there are unions, but like, as I understand it, like the dock workers, which makes sense, are much more unionized than the actual ship workers because ship workers are, again, they're getting people from completely opposite sides of the world who have like no other prior connection. And historically, like Saudi Aramco will like hire like Palestinian refugees because they are less organized than the Italian, sailors who were there before. And so like every step is like, how can we get like the latest and greatest, disorganized workforce? And I mean, the gig economy stuff is like, the reason I bring that up is I don't know if there's like apps and things used to coordinate these kinds of things. I would imagine not. I guess a better parallel would be like seasonal farm workers, like as we've talked about on the podcast in Europe, because it's kind of like you are like the whole process is designed to like isolate you as an individual participating in some system, which of course is what I think a lot of people relate to the gig economy as. What else did I want to mention? All shipping questions, feel free to direct them at me. Plenty of ships went around the Cape of Good Hope all the time. The tweet isn't very funny. Suez Canal is just one option. You can go around too, because it was always slow and cost money to go through the Suez Canal. So it's like you're making a decision. Anyway, sorry, pedantry coming through. There's one Guardian article that, I don't know, just when I was Googling it today, like, this thing seems to have caught the popular imagination.
Oh, yeah.
There's, of course, like, everyone is providing different angles, like, I'm going to, like, use some data to show you what percentage are oil tankers versus container versus bulk carrier. There's one very funny one, to me at least, that I saw at The Guardian today, because it so perfectly captures, like, a certain idea of, like, what's the word? The way that business should be done, perhaps from like a woke young like startup. Like, how do we like streamline this market, and how do we like get more transparency and data and flexibility? And how funny that is applied to something like shipping, which is like designed to be like, you don't know who your boss is, you don't know who owns this boat, you don't know what you're doing, you just like shut up and do it. You're in the middle of the fucking ocean. People can do whatever they want to you. And that is The Guardian, the title being Muddy the Waters. Egyptian authorities struggle with Suez Canal blockage. Few observers expect transparency about when the historic waterway will reopen. So it goes in about how like, wow, isn't this crazy? The Suez Canal is like one ship, running ashore can freeze the global economy.
Yeah.
And then it takes a little trip down memory lane saying,
oh, no.
That the construction began on the 120-mile canal in 1859 before, insert dramatic music here, Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized it in 1956, wrenching control from a British-French company. And then it goes into how Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi tapped into the same vein of national pride after seizing power in a military coup in 2013, and about how he decided to widen the Suez Canal and how there's a lot of uncertainty and like there's a lot of control and no one really knows what's going on with the canal. This is a quote from a captain who I guess captained some of these ships. Quote, "The canal pilots play music inside the bridge, and there's a lack of AIS-supported backup. They connect it with a computer, but the canal pilots are very overconfident when it comes to navigating by sight. Every time they're eating food, smoking, talking a lot, asking for bribes, which keeps them very busy." He specifies, "We call the Suez Canal Marlboro country. If we provide them with a big carton of Marlboro cigarettes, they're happy." Which is hilarious to me when it's when it's saying like, hey, isn't it crazy that these locals are, they're eating, smoking, they're not turning on their data because like, oh God, we need the data. Just the idea that, someone needs to go to Egypt and make sure that the canal pilots are doing things by the book. And it's like, this is just slop for your people in Volt to be like, I really learned about how we can improve the shipping industry today. Yeah. Did you know they're not using their AIS-supported backup? it's just like that's
quite.
Oh, you little, like, it's designed to, like, be as infantilizing as possible. Like, oh, don't you like transparency? Like, wouldn't it be great if the U.S. intervened with the military to make sure that they, collect enough data from the canal pilots?
Yeah. It is right. I feel like... No, I feel like a Volt did have like a bunch of shit about shipping, but all I can remember is that really cursed thing we discovered where they were like, let's put all the refugees on a cruise ship. So, yeah.
Fits too well. The same captain was, quote, was skeptical about how the incident would be resolved. Quote, "The investigation will not be transparent and will take a long time due to bureaucracy. It's essential that the Egyptian government," this is a quote from someone else, "be transparent going forward over this crisis to retain its credibility. This current communication strategy is not serving the Egyptian government's interests." Which is just like a blatant, like, you really have to be more open and transparent about how this canal works. And the president of Egypt, whoever it is, can be like, fuck you, what are you going to go? It's a big hole in the ground. If you want to come through, you got to pay me my cigarettes and some money. Fuck you. Yeah. I'm not giving you any information. And like, that's how the global economy works. And like, I just love all the window dressing, pretending that like, we're really working to increase transparency across supply chains.
I also love the usage of the word of just like, well, if you're not going to be transparent about how this is all working, I don't think you're very credible. Oh, person of the Guardian doesn't think I'm very credible. Boo-hoo-hoo. I'm the fucking president of Egypt.
Yeah. It's just a hilarious like outward facing and inward facing, because of course anyone in the shipping industry will be like, that's the way it works. Another way it's like Amazon is that like I do think there's a bit of a hierarchy between, you're forced to endure blue check former Barack Obama inner team an Oval Office like VPs work for Amazon, and then press releases being like, oh, you really think they pee in bottles? And that's the equivalent of like British retired ship captains who get to just do interviews being like, let me tell you about the little thing called the seas. She's a fickle maiden and all this stuff, and like that's the equivalent in the shipping world. And then of course the like however many, I don't even know how many Amazon warehouse workers there are and delivery drivers who are peeing in bottles. That's the equivalent of the ship of the like actual bulk of people who like literally like wear an Amazon name tag all day and who work in the shipping industry, but they're definitely not getting quoted in the Guardian and Financial Times.
No, yeah, but like I feel like that's the same. That's forever thus with like any major actual industry. Because yeah, I'm always kind of impressed, or like something that you kind of learn if you ever come to the left over time is just like the amount of fucking industry that you just like will not hear about. Like people will, get very excited about like anti-competition law against like the big tech companies, and they're big companies, but the reason we do fixate on them is because we have like a consumer relationship with like Apple and Facebook and fucking Amazon or whatever. But then there's just like all this other industry that is just not meant for you, and it exists as the infrastructure for the things you probably do see. Like H&M just talking about like a year ago being like, oh, we won't take cotton from Xinjiang, and everyone's like, that's great, but like the track record of H&M and like sweatshop labor and stuff like that is terrible, but it's like just kept away from you sufficiently enough. And then yeah, there's this two-faced machine for any one of these industries of just like, the smiley happy PR face, and then the like industry know-how face of just like that's how it works, versus the version that tells you actually this is all fine and great.
But this industry that's like a Jenga tower of like Epstein level mutually assured destruction of secrets. I mean, of like drugs, humans, whatever's getting delivered.
Yeah,
that's definitely going to be all straightened out once we get some more data collection going on.
Yeah, we put one of those Google Echo dots things in each captain corner of every ship out there, and we did something. we know the captain's not like a slave laborer. That's some of them, I guess.
We'll take moral victories.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. Like maybe you know better, but as far as I understand, slavery is still pretty rife in this industry, right?
Yeah, I mean, because so much of there's a classic situation where, like, so much of I'm testing some of the like business limits of my knowledge here because I'm supposed to just be looking at the data, but like so much of like the shipping, like as you can imagine, these things are like fucking expensive to build. Like it's just a giant hunk of metal and all that stuff, and so like basically the way that shipping, whatever profits like from the shipping company's point of view are calculated is that they're like. And I mean, this is, I guess, how a lot of a way of looking at like a lot of products' lifespan value. Like it took all this X amount of millions to build, and since it's a big hunk of metal, it's worth some X, or I should say Y, $1 million as just scrap. Yeah. And like from that amount between X and Y, you're just hoping to recoup enough. Deliveries and whatever to make up for it. But at some point, especially if it's getting a little old and some company, maybe you're doing something illegal, like, using the wrong fuel you're not supposed to do, or, they always let you use the wrong fuel, but now like there's some politically motivated, someone's going to like give you hassle for it. The ship owner, who again is like not the country that owns the ship and is not the person who contracted the captain of the ship and is not the person who supplied the labor, they'll just be like, yeah, fuck it, I'll leave it there. And then, like, the people on the ship can't do it. Like, they're like, well, I'm in a completely different country. Like, how do I get home? And there's stories of people. As far as I know, the explosion in the port of Beirut, like, what was that, last year now? Or 2 years ago? That was it was a case of like exactly this happening, and I think the sailors were stuck there for like 11 months just because they're like the person was like, all right, fuck, I'll just leave the ship there. I'll come back for it later. And the stuff that blew up was the cargo on that ship that'd been there for like 6 years or something.
I remember the kind of like analysis of like who's to blame was kind of like, I don't know, got into a very weird and probably, in retrospect, unsettling, like Orientalist kind of like, oh, look at Lebanon not being able to do bureaucracy correctly, because that was kind of like who was blamed for that whole thing. But then was like, why was
yes.
this like, yeah,
Yes, only in Lebanon is the shipping industry like this.
yeah. But like I know they didn't even focus on the shipping industry stuff. It was just like, you know, it was left there, and then local authorities didn't handle it, and I'm like,
but you could say like ports, like it's not even that different. Like every port, are you kidding me? Like around the world is the same.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I was also looking at like fucking because this whole industry is kind of like rotten from like top to bottom or like beginning to end, because I'm also just looking at like ship graveyards as well. Those things are just horrific. Like they just ruin entire like cities, and like Bikini Atoll, which is like still like under America's dominion, is just an entire ship graveyard now. For World War II era like Pacific fleets. Just like left there, and I think there's parts of like India where like the rust gets into the water and stuff, and it like fucks everything up.
Here's a little media savvy tip for everybody. Talking about Wall Street meme bets. Ships are going to be in this year, so already get some photos of that Bikini Atoll ship graveyard. Just be like, me and the boys when we get vaccinated, or whatever the thing of the week is, get some photos, download them, get a few different angles, and you will be churning out content, my friend.
Turn it into a non-fungible token.
Yes.
Oh, that has to exist. Right, the picture of the evergreen in the Suez as like a non-fungible token, that has to exist.
When you when they don't pay for their NFT. When you open the NFT and it's Rickroll. That's my book report for the week, Ciarán.
That's your book report. Yeah, we were talking about book reports before we started recording. We shouldn't reference that.
Maybe I'll include it. Maybe I'll pause the podcast for 5 minutes here and then go back and put it in.
Just break the flow completely. Because that's kind of like upsetting, terrible industry shit. Seems kind of unchangeable to a certain extent, beyond
right? I don't know.
Yeah, beyond the usual.
Unless we take over all the ships.
Yeah.
That should be our plan.
Do the Tom Hanks film, but like coordinated with all ships. How many ships can there be? 8? One of them stuck. Take it. I have a little bit of levity for you, which is a Georgia update. So something that we kind of like overlooked happened like about a month ago or so, which is no one there was an election in Georgia last autumn in the fall, and none of the opposition parties like recognized the results of it. Georgian Dream won, classic, in the Späti canon. International observers were like, yeah, it's fine. This election wasn't illegal. Like, nothing was too bad. We have some concerns about irregularities, but, we've seen worse elections, is basically the international observers' take on it.
That's how you're like slipping under the radar. Like, you're not getting hassled by the teacher. You're not you're not the worst in the class.
Yeah.
But you're like just mediocre enough that you can, goof off.
So ahead of opposition for the United National Movement, I believe it's called, which is a guy called Nika Melia. The United National Movement, by the way, is like a color revolution ass party. There was the Rose Revolution in I want to say 2008, maybe a little bit later, and that's what kind of swept them to power. But he was arrested for inciting violence at an anti-government protest. Then the Prime Minister of Georgian Dream, like the head of Georgian Dream and the Prime Minister, Georgi Gakhari, resigned basically for not arresting this guy fast enough.
He failed his mission.
Yeah, right. Bad job, Agent 37. You didn't do it fast enough. You were noticed. So, former defense minister Irakli Garibashvili, god damn it, Georgian, is now prime minister. He's the second youngest state leader in the world after Kim Jong-un. He's He's got a face like a wax sculpture.
I've heard enough. Youngest prime minister and wax sculpture face.
Yeah.
Put this man on Time magazine. Disrupting Georgia.
But he's a longtime associate of former Megarika Bidzina Ivanishvili. God damn it.
Well, he knows talent when he sees it. When he first saw the sun blind him from gleaming off his wax face, he knew that he was onto something special.
So, as interesting, you should bring up the sun. Bera Ivanishvili, who is a regular fixture of the Corner Späti canon from a long time ago, from our first Megarika ever, the albino rapping son of Georgia's richest man / former prime minister. So, this guy who's now the prime minister, Irakli, he's a board member of the bank that the richest guy owns, Khartoum Bank, but also the director of Bera's record label, which is also called Georgian Dream, for anyone to remember that.
I said as a joke that he's disrupting Georgia, but he's actually streamlining things. You don't need separate positions. He can do both jobs. He wears multiple hats, as we say in the biz.
Yeah. He's one of the benefits of running in a startup country is you'll be asked to do things that are maybe a bit out of your job description.
Yeah, he likes to learn on the job.
Yeah, get some experience, put in late hours, beers on Friday.
He's watching videos of Suge Knight.
So, like everything in Georgian politics, when it comes to Georgian Dream, everyone is still pretty sure that the richest guy, Bidzina Ivanishvili, something like that, is pretty much still involved and like running the whole thing. So it's kind of come to like a weird head where this guy in the opposition was arrested. All other opposition parties are basically not showing up to parliament, trying to reduce the legitimacy of Irakli's government. But then the leaks happened, and these leaks are fun. So if you're in the document, Rob, there should be like a fucking Metal Gear Solid ass image.
Yeah, the only thing I can see. Yes, I do indeed see this.
Yeah. So there was a bunch of leaked recordings between albino rapping son Bera Ivanishvili and the new prime minister / bank board member / record label owner, Irakli, forgotten his last name.
Do we have any idea? Sorry if I'm stepping on your toes. Do we have any idea who leaked it? I mean, because you said like there's a coalition of opposition parties. Is it like third party? Do you think someone went undercover? Do we have any idea here?
So I think, as far as I know, it's hacked, like quote unquote hacked, whatever that means, which just means like someone probably guessed Bera's password. Georgian Dream. His password is Georgian Dream.
The A was the at symbol.
Yeah.
Took a couple tries to get that one.
Yeah. So these recordings are kind of like released on like a opposition TV channel. They just play them out. This is the graphic they gave, which again looks like the Metal Gear Solid like talking to Major kind of screen. So this kind of like heightens a lot of these problems. So because what's in the recordings? And here's where we get to the fun stuff. In one tape, Bera and Irakli are talking to the head of State Personal Security, the agency that protects government officials, about using that agency to harass critics of Bera's music on social media.
Let's go.
They also recall having state police bully a schoolboy infant and his family in front of his neighbors and then laugh about it.
Wait, say that again. A schoolboy? How old are we talking?
Because people who criticize the albino rapping son on social media are teenagers, because of course they are.
I'm imagining like the US equivalent, if somehow like LeBron James could do this, and every 12-year-old who calls him like Le Pussy, get a real ring, or like, which is like thousands of these posts, who are either like 45-year-old men in suburban Boston or 12 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it just like unleash the full power of the state security apparatus on them.
Yeah, right. Since this leak came out, people have come forward corroborating what's on the tapes. A musician came forward about police bullying him to delete a Facebook post critical of Bera's work. That was in 2013. In 2016, a waiter was threatened with losing his job, harassed by the police, and received phone calls from Bera himself over a Facebook post criticizing Bera's music. Again, Bera does not actually know this waiter. He just did a public post being like, I don't like this guy's music.
He's like, why don't you spread some positivity on the timeline? You know?
Yeah, right?
Always coming in with this negative energy.
So the response to this has also been quite good, because the Georgian Dream officials, like the politicians, have kind of like conflicting response about what's happening here. One rebuttal is to claim that the recordings are before Bidzina Ivanishvili, Bera's dad, took power, so it's fine.
Back when he had no power as the richest man in Georgia who used to run the country.
Yeah, but we still somehow were able to have conversations with the head of state security. That kind of pokes a hole in it, and it also, that defense only works if you don't believe the like musician and the waiter who came forward being like, yeah, this happened in 2013 and 2016, back when Bidzina was prime minister. However, the other defense that's coming from some Georgian Dream officials is it's all fake.
Of course. Deepfakes have gotten very advanced.
Yeah. You've got so much access to Bera's voice. You can make a bot. You can make like a synthesized thing you can just type out with like Microsoft Sam, but Bera's voice in Georgian. We got all his back catalog. Bera's response himself was to say any Georgian would defend their family if dishonored. Really leading into his role as like, I don't know, a fantasy character.
Are you winning, son? I'm defending the honor of our great family. Please don't interrupt.
Yeah. People kind of pointed out that, like, yeah, maybe that's true, but most of us don't have access to the head of, like, state security. Other people kind of pointed out that this is problematic because apparently youth honor killings are a problem in Georgia.
Oh. Did not know that.
I did not know that either until I looked into this, but, like, a footballer was killed on the street through, like, a weird kind of, again, like, Facebook spat between him and some other kids. Because like most professional footballers are also just like teenagers. The other thing it ignores that like people kind of pointed out about Bera's response of like, you know, I would defend my family, is that while you kind of mention in the tapes that you also want to use state security to like harass people who are critical of your dad, the prime minister, most of the stuff that people came forward about that said happened to them were people who criticized your music.
Yeah, but his music, it says in the title, represents Georgia.
Yep.
And the dream of Georgia, which only his dad has.
Yeah.
So
the dream is to elect this man.
It's even a more hurtful criticism than if you attacked his looks or his personality or anything about him.
His music is
because it's more personal, honestly.
So yeah, that's my Georgian update on what's happened with Bera Ivanishvili, who's
I have a couple clarifying questions.
Yeah.
I feel like I mean, I don't want to downplay the violence or repression that the Georgian state security apparatus is capable of, but based on the descriptions, it was like it seems like a lot of I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse. Force him to delete his Facebook posts. Like, are they... Like, I'm just imagining if he had access to, like, you know, complete, like, drone warfare. Just, like raining, like, hell down on any YouTube commenter who says that he, you know... I don't know.
Your beats are flat, your flow sucks. I don't know, yeah. Bera's not a very good musician. Like,
oh wait, Ciarán, please.
We can get a lot of trouble.
You have a family. You have a family to think about.
Yeah, since he never found our episode from like 2 years ago, I think we're okay. I think you have to like be critical of him in Georgian, like the language, for him to notice.
Okay, then we should be safe.
Yeah, we should be grand.
He has a private data team working on reverse, like creating their own Google Translate to and do some machine learning algorithms to identify
the finest Macedonian teenagers money could buy. You put 100 Macedonian teenagers in a room and they'll produce Shakespeare. Oh, yeah. Any more clarifying questions, or should we wrap this episode up?
Is he the only son, or I guess I should say offspring, availing himself of this situation? Because the other children, don't they have some positions? I don't know if wasn't there someone in a public role?
No, because he is the oldest. The other two are like still relatively young. He's married now or whatever, but I think he's still like mid-20s.
That's true. He's a father, as far as I know.
Yeah, he is. He has his
congratulations.
He has his younger albino brother, the second of three sons, the two who are albino. Which when I posted a picture of him next to his younger albino brother, people kind of pointed out in the comments that it reminded them of like those like mobile phone game ads where it's like level 10, level 50. Bera's jacked. And just like his younger brother just refuses to work on his arms. Just like out of, I don't know, religious principle or something.
I mean, it's like he's inventing a new style. It's like how in the 1800s everyone had giant, like they shaved it so they just had a neck beard. He's going to be the first one to have like twig arms and just like massive chest, like Schwarzenegger size chest, no arms.
Yeah. The third son, the youngest son, is a bit of a mystery. He doesn't have a
maybe he's making all the comments online. That'd be a good twist.
Yeah, there's like a Georgian version of the show Succession, which is about this.
Well,
about this.
He could claim that he's defending the family's honor because he's like, your music sucks, you're embarrassing us.
Yeah. He'd be the underdog on the show for sure. Oh God. I love Bera. I will always pay attention to Bera. Bera is the best.
Is there any sign of resignations coming? Anything like that?
No, much into what we were discussing with like the shipping industry and the president of Egypt. The response of Georgian Dream so far has been just to be like, "Fuck you, we're in control." Some people are hand wringing about like a democratic backslide in Georgia, which I'm like, I don't know what you were fucking expecting, man. Have you seen like the rest of like post-Soviet states?
Backslide is such a great word that no one really uses in real life, but it's used like it's like the 74th most common word on like, I don't know, Voxplainers or like Politico the EU Politico. It's like there's a lot of backsliding going on here. I think it's just like a fucking slip and slide. Like they just walk down from the bottom and are back at the top now, and they're gonna take another run.
Yeah. The other problem as well that like I think some people have taken to the streets and whatnot in Georgia, but like the opposition parties are like also fairly shit.
Yeah.
Like United National Movement is like a right-wing, very like austerity party. Like the Georgian Dream is meant to be like the Georgian like Blairite Social Democrat Party. Mm-hmm. They're meant to be the good ones. They're meant to be capitalism with the friendly face.
Albino capitalism.
And with that, I think that's been another episode of Corner Späti. We will see you guys on the bonus feed on Friday.
Yes, we're gonna be. Anything else to plug? We have. If you listen to this in the next 21 minutes, and I mean tonight, Friday the 26th, check out Eurovibes 3, the Twitch stream. It's a great time. I don't know if we have any videos from Georgia.
Oh no, we do.
Okay, excellent. You are in good. See,
I got.
Listener, you are in good hands with Ciarán's curation. There's a lot of. It's like wearing 3D glasses and listening to Corner Späti. There's a whole added element to understanding the vibe that is Europe.
Hopefully we subscribe to twitch.tv/Corner Späti. We should hopefully be doing more Twitch streams. But yeah, then just donate in Patreon to get extra episodes as well. Do that.
Yeah,
Support us. Help us.
Please, in any way. Ciarán has to build fortifications around his apartment to prevent the Georgian security apparatus from harassing his family.
Rob has sunk a lot of his personal wealth into a Taiwanese shipping company that's not looking too hot right now for, let's say, an incident in Egypt. So hopefully we can fix that situation real quick.
Yeah, but that I always knew that was more of like a passion project. Like I just want to get out on the open seas.
Don't spend any money you're not willing to lose.
I have always said I want to be the Paul Walker of the VLCC oil tanker world.
Yeah, right.
Hamburg Drift.
This is Hamburg culture, baby. Just like owning a shipping company. All right. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
What do you call them again? Book reports.
Yeah, book reports.
We don't do those.
So what do you do with the book?
We read it.
How do you prove to your teacher that you read the book, that you did the homework?
There'd probably be a quiz.
Okay.
I think
part of the book report idea is that everyone reads a different book, and then you share your knowledge on the book. So then you can't test like the entire class at once. Although of course there's like books everyone has to read, but I think that's later usually in middle school.
Yeah, no, it was just books everyone had to read. Like correct me if I'm wrong. Is book reporting just like as an American function? Is that just like encouraging kids to read?
I think so.
If that's
you got some bonus
of it.
Stars or points or something for doing a book report, probably.
We had a thing called the MS Readathon in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
That was like you would get sponsored by people. It's like the way a marathon works. You get sponsored by people to reach certain targets, and there's prizes and things like that. And it's within I can't remember how long. I think it's a month. How many books you can read?
Mm-hmm.
And you raise money for multiple sclerosis charities. MS Readathon.
Like the water drinking competitions, you can die from reading too many books at once, and it has happened all across Ireland. MS Readathon is also the name of the ship that's stuck in the Suez Canal.
I love ship names.
Yeah, they are great. They have just call them anything. Do you have to read a lot of Shakespeare in Ireland, or is that like a fuck you? We're not reading this.
No, we do. So,
I mean, that's the classic complaint. Like middle school, you got to read Romeo and Juliet, Midsummer, however you say it. That one.
Midsummer's Night Dream. Yeah. So for our English, as a subject, you have to do this basically twice. One from like age 13 to 15, and then another from like age 16 to 18. You would have one Shakespeare, one movie, one novel, and one play.
Movies?
Yeah, you'd have a movie. And basically the Shakespeare thing would be on its own, and then the other three were a part of something called comparative studies, where you're taking like one play, one novel, one film, and like doing a compare and contrast of themes and topics and stuff like that.
Okay.
So for like my second half, I did Macbeth was my Shakespeare. I did Cinema Paradiso as my film. My play was Philadelphia, Here I Come, which is a very good play, actually a very good Irish play. And the book, which is absolute garbage, was The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime.
Oh, yeah, I know about that book.
So fucking shite, man.
Yeah,
absolute fucking shite. Yeah, because it's like, I'm going to write this book from the perspective of like someone who has autism. And over the years, it's been revealed that like she did no research.
I love the confidence of authors. Like,
yeah,
doesn't that always happen? Like, there was one about like drug addiction too, that was big like 15 years ago. I feel like, Million Little Pieces. They're just like, yeah, it's just all made up. Like what they think a drug addict is like.
Yeah, for these courses, there's like a limited range that the schools can pick from. They change it like year on year. And there's obviously one set for the older kids and one set for the younger kids. And I talked about this with some other Irish friends. I don't think anyone liked any of the novels that were available. I don't think any of them stood the test of time. And I was always really jealous of the like schools that decided to do for their movie the Truman Show, because that was one of the options.
Oh, what?
The Truman Show.
Oh, the movie of the Truman Show. Oh,
yeah,
great pick.
Yeah,
and
right?
relevant to today. You know, keeping it. I was wondering if all the kids like did it on The Matrix or something, but I guess Truman Show is.
No. The teacher has to pick, unfortunately, and the education board makes a selection that you can pick from. So yeah. I really the thing that left the impression on me was the play. It was a very good play.
What is that about? I was going to ask you. Is it like Irish immigrants go in Philadelphia?
Yeah, actually, that might be, if you wanted to do like the culture exchange shit, watching the film version of Philadelphia Here I Come would probably be very good.
Please.
So it's the last 24 hours before a guy, I think in the 60s, Ireland, leaves like rural Ireland for America. It's basically because it's, the 60s, anytime before the 90s, basically, it's a death sentence effectively. Not like you wouldn't die, but from everyone you would know back in Ireland, you're effectively dead. Because you wouldn't be able to afford to fly back regularly. At best, you could do post letters every so often. So it is just like a story about this guy just coming to the terms with like all the excitement of America, the land of like honey and stuff. But then he's like, he had a shit relationship with his dad. He has this unrequited love who married who he got on better with, but she married the rich guy in the village and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this guy came up with this device in theater, which he called public and private, which he had two people playing the same person, but one was the version that everyone saw, and the other one was the version that was his thought process, everything going in the head. So it would be him silently sitting down to dinner with his reserved conservative dad, while his the private version was look at you, you fucker, you've never felt joy in your life, kind of yelling at him.
Okay,
it's very good. I really like it.
Okay, sure. Let's get to it. I would love to experience the Irish condition.
Yeah, I think I think we can get cracking on that, because I think that would be good. You enjoy doing your movie episodes, and I think it would be a good idea. And I could definitely send you British and Irish recommendations of cultural touchstones.
Also, just always want to innovate. We could maybe develop on this public-private and just be maybe one character when I'm really stoned, one character when I'm cranky in the morning, haven't had my coffee yet.
One when I'm sleepy, one when I'm bashful. Just do the dwarves.